Hi there folks, this is Vlad with the Virtual Gear. Today I wanted to review the Fiskars X7. Had this axe for several years now, I've used it quite a bit, and figured it's about time to make a good review of it. Today I'm out in the woods, out at Camp Katusha, so maybe I'll show you a little bit of splitting some firewood with it, how it works, and talk a little bit more about the design, construction, all that good stuff. So check it out. So I've got this log here, it's kind of half burned. It's been sitting in the snow for several months. Pretty hard, it's been in the fire, so I want to cut it in half. So I'm going to see if I can get through with this little hatchet. So this wood is pretty hard. It's been toughened up by that fire, but it's getting through it pretty well. There you go. So not too bad. The edge on this thing actually stays pretty sharp, pretty long. It is a much softer steel than other high quality hand forged axes or hatchets, but has a pretty keen edge on it, and it is really easy to resharpen. And it does stay sharp for a good amount of time, provided you don't chop rocks and sand with it, you know, the typical common sense kind of stuff. But it does do a really good job. And then it kind of has that double edge on there, the initial grind and like the second flare on there, which actually does really well for splitting wood. It kind of cuts in with that first bevel and then widens out and splits with that second one. So as you can see, it does a pretty good job at splitting that wood up. Here's some more splitting action here. Got a pretty tough log here, some fir, shouldn't be too bad. Goes through it fairly easily. There we go. So it does a really good job all the way from splitting, I'd say medium-sized logs of up to even 8 inches or so down to fine kindling if you really want to. So pretty good range of uses for it. So as you can see there, it does a pretty good job at splitting and chopping. The blade design on there is actually pretty nice. I like it. Overall, really a nice hatchet for the price. Funny story, actually, the way I came about having this particular hatchet here is Eugene and I were out on a trip to the west coast of Washington, which is quite a drive from where we live, and halfway there we realized that we had not packed any kind of hatchet or axe for our trip, and we decided to stop at just a hardware store and pick up whatever they had there. And I know from just previous videos I've watched and just people I've talked to, people have said that, you know, from the hardware store kind of typical, you know, axes you can get, these are actually pretty decent. So we found one, picked it up. It was like $20 or so, and took it out to the coast and used it ever since. Actually performed really well there. However, though, on the coast, we were splitting a lot of driftwood, and the sand dulled it up pretty quick, but was able to sharpen it up, and it sharpens up really easily, takes an edge really nicely. And you can see it's got a couple nicks in it now, but it's really easy to sharpen with like a Lansky stone or even a file. It'll hold an edge really nicely. You can see there. I do like the handle construction and the design. I know it's not wood, and believe me, I'm a diehard, all wood handled, hand forged axes. Those are awesome, but this is still a really nice and functional little hatchet. And so far, I mean, the handle is not broken at all. No cracks or dents even, or chips, and it's taken a lot of abuse. This is kind of my my hatchet that I hand to people that don't use axes on a regular basis and kind of not aware of the proper use, so I don't mind if they kind of beat it up, but it's held up really well actually. Rubberized handle is decent, feels comfortable in the hand. Really nice swell at the end there to hold your hand in when you're swinging it. Never lost grip on this thing even when it's wet. Vibrations are not bad through the hand at all, even with the composite handle. Really good. The one thing I do like also about this is, since it has a kind of a different mounting style for the head to the handle, there is a lot more metal in this head than there would be if it was just a traditional eye and cheeks on the side and a wooden handle going through. So there's a considerable amount of metal going through this handle, which gives it a decent amount of weight for the little hatchet that it is, which helps in splitting and just giving it a good swing, kind of adding some power. Let's see. Downsides. The one thing I haven't liked is this rough casting, or whatever this line is here. If you're ever using this thing to pound steaks or hammer nails, like I actually do a lot with this thing out here at our camp, this ridge actually follows all the way to the back here. Well, it usually does. I have filed and sanded the back of this thing down so it's flat, kind of giving it kind of like a smooth hammer finish. But if you leave that on there, especially with nails, the ridge makes it almost impossible to hammer nails, and it'll bend the caps and it'll bend the nails. And if you're trying to hammer steaks and stuff, it kind of just slips off to the side and doesn't give you a very precise strike. But pretty easy fix. I just took a file to it. Took me 10 minutes, filed it flat, sanded the edges, made sure it was smooth, and it's back to good. It does come with a plastic sheath, and it's pretty decent. It's pretty bulky though. It's big. It has a handle on top here and a little lever to lock it in. Of course, we make our own sheaths for these axes, so of course I've been using mine. It's been working really well. You can see here. I put it on with one hand. There we go. I do think it looks a lot better with the leather sheath, of course, but that's personal preference. There you go. So overall, really a nice little hatchet for the price. Something that's cheap enough to buy and throw in your car or your truck and kind of leave it there and use it only when you need it. You're not paying 150 bucks for this hatchet, but it's also good enough and functional enough to serve you well if you do need it. It's not like a $5 hatchet that you're saving in your truck for an emergency and then you pull it out and you're trying to chop something and it breaks in half. So it actually will work. So overall, really nice little Fiskars X7 hatchet here. We will put a link in the description for you to pick it up if you'd like to, and there will also be a link to our sheets if you're interested. So check that out. Thanks for watching. Hope that was informative. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below in the comments section. As always, have a great day. Don't forget to praise God, and I'll see you later. Over and out.